Right.
Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devam Gauravani Pacharane Nirvise Susunyavari Paskyacha Deshatarane Namo Mahabandanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namani Gaura Trishe Namaha Namo Brahmanya Devaya Ko Brahmanhitaya Cha Jigaritaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So Hare Krishna, I hope everyone is doing well. I feel very I feel very committed to creating videos to help devotees to understand what it is that we have, or what I should say, what is the goal of our practice. I know as a new devotee, I read Prabhupada's books, of course, day in and day out, and performed all the processes of Krishna consciousness. But due to conditioning and just due to material life, I guess, it's hard to grasp what is the essence and purpose of Krishna consciousness. It is there in Prabhupada's books, but after listening, after seeing where I'm at personally, and then listening to many God brothers speak and so forth, I can understand that the actual goal or the purpose, which is in Prabhupada's books, is not that easy to understand. So I feel like part of my duty to my spiritual master is to try to give maybe a clearer understanding of what he is saying to us, or I could say it's my realization of what Prabhupada has given. In this way, I hope it can be of some benefit to those who are seeking Krishna consciousness. So one of the things that, and my goal is to make these videos and maybe clarify certain points in the videos, and take questions and be of service to the Vaishnav community in any way I can in helping to spread the actual message of Krishna consciousness. So yes, Krishna consciousness is a confidential practice, in the sense that what we will be entering into is something that is not readily or easily understandable just by reading. So there are stages of understanding in order to come to, what is the confidential service that we will be doing in Krishna consciousness. The overall dynamic is Krishna Swayam Bhagavan. We are absolutely 100% exclusively devoted to Lord Krishna. That is where everything begins and everything ends. And there is an external component to that and an internal component to that. And the external component can be likened to the regulative principles of bhakti. Because we're not internalized yet, we need to practice the regulative principles of bhakti yoga on a regular basis. And this will bring us to that point where we are sufficiently internalized, we're sufficiently detached from excuse me, material life and our focus, our energy is directed properly. You know, this takes time, and that's why it's not easy to understand any of the higher levels of what we are in for. So we just keep practicing, we keep practicing, we keep practicing. We stay close, we stay in the fire, as Srila Prabhupada has directed us to do. We get hotter, although those are beautiful sayings and teachings coming from Srila Prabhupada. You stay in the fire, you keep chanting, you keep performing your bhakti yoga. And gradually, there's a refinement of the senses, the mind, the intelligence, the ego, things within us as our karma clears and the reactions to our karma clear, we do come out of this cloud-like situation. Prabhupada has clearly said that like a cloud in our head, and that becomes diffused in time. And what it is that diffuses the cloud is the sun. So the sun, meaning in this case, Krishna. So as Krishna diffuses this cloud in our brain, in our intelligence, by the chanting, we can clearly begin to experience what we're meant to experience. Now, there is a beautiful array of spirituality. Now, this understanding, when the clouds clear, that means externally we are separated from the external. That's important to know. And as the sun comes out, it means that within our heart, there's a radiance coming from Lord Krishna. That is the internal potency. So the internal potency as opposed to the external potency. Our chanting is bringing us into the internal potency. Now, what is the internal potency? That is the energy coming from Krishna that is aligned with his desires, his personal desires, his desires for his pleasure. The external energy is basically here to give the wayward living entities a chance to enjoy separate from Krishna. The internal potency is when we surrender through the practice of bhakti to be engaged in what pleases Krishna personally. There's a complete difference from our perspective of pleasure. Okay, external pleasure, what's in it for me? Internal pleasure, what's in it for Krishna? We have to understand that Krishna has desires. He's not desireless. He is filled with desire. And this is different than what impersonalists, jnanis, formless individuals who believe God is formless and has no qualities, which is called nirguna, they have a hard time. And I did, because I was in that category. When I first joined, I was more of a Zen Buddhist type meditator. And we all come basically from that category. We just cannot conceive of God having senses and God having emotions and God having desires, because desires are bad. You know, from our perspective, desire is the cause of material entanglement, and rightfully so. However, in Krishna consciousness, we do cross over that misunderstanding to think that desire is always bad. And when it's attached to the absolute, it's also bad. That misunderstanding gets cleared up in time, where we begin to understand that God has desire, and that's good. Krishna's desires are our pleasure. Now, this is a whole new paradigm shift for us. No Zen Buddhist, no impersonalist, no Shankarite, no yogi, no one who thinks that God is just light and energy can ever, ever, ever understand the ecstasy of Lord Krishna and his desires. Uh, the desires of the Lord are greatly exemplified by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who had overwhelming desire. Now, here is Krishna in the mood of Radha, desiring love for Krishna. And Krishna's tasting that by doing it. Lord Chaitanya is Krishna, tasting the effects of ecstatic love for himself. So ecstasy, bhav, and prem are essential components to our bhakti practice. They're not essential components to those outside of personalism. Only personalists, especially those that worship Krishna. Now, there are those that worship Lord Narayan and those that worship Lord Vishnu, and they also receive a certain level of ecstasy from that worship, but it is not comparable to what the denizens or the residents of Vrindavan experience, because of their surrender and their modality, their ecstasy is considered the highest, even more so than the residents of Dwarka and Mathura on the planet of Goloka. The residents of Vrindavan experience the highest ecstasy. Now, this bhav and prem is part of the internal potency. And as we leave the external potency, because of our practice, we get caught up into the internal potency. Now, this internal potency is dictating to us. It's dictating to us. It's actually controlling us. So we're giving ourselves up to it. And just like Yoga Maya is the one that oversees the activities, the daily activities of Vrindavan for Krishna's pleasure, we become also part of and controlled by Yoga Maya. So our desires fall in line with Krishna's desires or Yoga Maya's desires to please Krishna. And here's the interesting part. It's so pleasurable to fall in line with what we are being told to do, because in return for our surrendered play, our surrendered part in the Leela, we're given bliss. It's like someone's telling you, do this, and here's $1 million. Do it. And you do it because you just got paid $1 million, and you'll do it again and again and again. Now, that's a material example. But in the spiritual sense, when we are dictated from within to comply to the desires of Yoga Maya to please Lord Krishna, we are overwhelmed to do it, because that's where our bliss comes from. So Krishna, in a sense, he is bending our will, molding our will. He's making us malleable to what pleases him, because it also pleases us. And Prabhupada gave the best example. It's like a tree or a flower that has petals or roots or leaves coming off of it, and the entire flower is nourished when everything works in unison. All the different parts work in unison for the whole. That's the only thing that nourishes the part, is what makes the whole nourished. And so Prabhupada uses the example, if the root of the flower or the tree tried to keep the water for itself and didn't release it for the rest of the plant, then the plant would die. Now, Krishna is not going to die, but the parts will die. And so we're not holding on to something to separate ourselves. The ecstasy that pleases, that which pleases Krishna is what pleases us. That's all I can say in that. And when we understand that, then we can begin to understand Krishna Lila. So what has been given to us in this Hare Krishna Mahamantra and the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya is Radha's desire to be with Krishna and Krishna's desire to be with Radha. This is the essential, or the focus of the Krishna consciousness movement. Now, we may not understand that clearly yet. We may not grasp it yet, but we will. And that is the conclusion of the chanting for us. It is bringing Radha and Krishna together, because their ecstasy is the focus of our ecstasy. Their coming together is what brings us pleasure and what has been transmitted to us by Lord Chaitanya. This is what we are part of. This is what we can be part of, this particular Leela. Now, as we advance in Krishna consciousness and we experience a relationship or an understanding of the internal potency, then we are very happy to comply. It is a completely different feeling than being the master of our own destiny in the material world. Spiritual life is complying with Krishna, is surrendering to what he wants. This brings us joy, happiness, release from the material energy, release from this tabernacle of material identification. It brings us into a very, very special place of joy, happiness, and freedom, and an attachment, which is bhav for Krishna, and prem ultimately. This is the methodology. This is how we will do this. And so giving up this false identification with our body, we can begin to identify as Sakis, because everyone now this is another aspect we will understand. Everyone in Vrindavan is subordinate to Krishna. So that's a feminine aspect. Even if they're men, Nanda Gopal, Nanda Maharaj, all the cowherd boys, whether they have a male body or female, there's a sense of surrender to Krishna. Everyone is focused on him. So that's a feminine aspect, feminine. The Sakis, on top of that feminine aspect, are feminine women. So you have like a double aspect there. You have both feminine surrender to Krishna and that they're actually women Sakis. So there's a double, there's a focus on that femininity. And the women, the Sakis in Vrindavan, exemplify the feminine aspect of surrender to Krishna. They literally exemplify it in their femininity. And in so doing, they exemplify the masculinity in Lord Krishna, because the gopis bring out the best of Lord Krishna's masculinity, his romanticism, his playing of his flute and the dead of night, and the way he attracts the women and how they fall over him because of his beauty and his broad chest and so forth. This is the play, the Leela, that takes place between the Lord and the Sakis. And of all the Sakis, Krishna is most attracted to Radha because she has certain qualities that no other Saki has. Even though all the Sakis and all the gopis are gorgeous and beautiful young girls and pure and are more beautiful and pure than any of the heavenly damsels, any of the demigoddesses, they are special. They are just absolutely incredible. Of all of them, there is one Saki that stands out, and that is Radharani. And this is so beautiful because there's so many gorgeous Sakis that bring out the masculinity of Krishna, but there is one best. Just like there are so many great, great souls in Vrindavan, but there is one best, and that is Krishna. And so when Radha, the best of the Sakis, seeks Krishna, it's like a star. It's just incredible energy that all the other Sakis are attracted to. And they want to also bring this beautiful, feminine, gorgeous goddess to Krishna, she feels so much deep attachment to the Lord. The depth of her attachment is called Mahabhav, and that attachment was exemplified by Lord Chaitanya, and no other Saki has that deep an attachment. So they're all astounded by her depth of love, and Krishna is very attracted to that. So it is natural, therefore, to want to bring Radha to Krishna, is natural. The Sakis want it, the Manjaris want it, Krishna wants it. And this is the play. This is the Leela play that goes on among the Sakis. It is beautiful. And as members of the Hare Krishna movement, this is the internal aspect or the esoteric aspect of what we are part of. Now, externally, we have our temples, we have our method of worship, we have our preaching, we have our books, we're bringing people together, we have our prasadam. All of these things are meant to attract devotees and people to Krishna consciousness. We want people to take Diksha initiation. We want them to vow, to chant, and work their way to the internal platform. Now, those of us who have been part of the movement for a long time should have some semblance of understanding or attachment or direct perception of the internal potency. There's been plenty of opportunity, plenty of time for devotees to enter into the internal potency. It is not that difficult, or I should say, it's not inaccessible. It's just the fact that you put in the time, you put in the chanting, you follow the process. There are fruits to be gained. There are fruits. This is it. There are fruits to be tasted. And many, many members of the movement should be tasting this. And as the generations of devotees goes on, second, third, fourth generations removed from Prabhupada, this will continue. This transformation from the external potency to the internal potency is why we seek and practice Bhakti Yoga. This is it. We want to taste Radha Krishna Prem. This is why we do this, and this is what we will get. It's the highest, sweetest, most intense taste available. It's something that Lord Chaitanya has revealed. And so we will taste it at some point. If you're not tasting it, you will. So I'm saying this because I want to try to be that person that clarifies for your benefit what you can expect. Now, it is shouldn't be a mystery. It is a beautiful journey, of course, to get to that point, but it shouldn't be a mystery as to what it is that you will be experiencing. And in that ecstasy of experience, there's no boredom. It's not stagnant. It's not static. It's dynamic. It's wonderful. It's always growing. It's organic. It grows in intensity like waves. It's like, this is exactly what Rupa Goswami has described as waves of devotion. So Radha is experiencing the highest waves, and we as Sakis are experiencing a portion of that wave. And the Manjaris, according to Lord Chaitanya, are actually able to experience a higher amount of the wave, similar to what Radharani experiences, because of their attachment to Radha. It's a kind of a vicarious, there's a term in English called vicarious. They can vicariously experience what she's experiencing because of their devotion to wanting to bring her together with Krishna. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya explains that the Manjaris, who are slightly younger than Radharani, who are more simple and less developed, I guess you can say, as a woman, they're more innocent. They don't have direct union with Lord Krishna as other Sakis do. Now, other Sakis experience amazing relationship by having a direct relationship with the Lord. Krishna has direct relationship with the Sakis, not just Radharani. So they experience this direct relationship with Krishna. And even though they do, they still are super enthusiastic to have Radha come together with him. This is part of the surrendering process. It's not something that you can understand with a material mind, because you have to be filled with bhav. Bhav just lets you go. It puts you into a different framework. There's no competition. Everyone works together to please Krishna. So if some Sakis have a direct relationship, that's part of their ras. That doesn't mean that Manjaris have a less of a relationship with Krishna. It means that they're able to experience more bhav than even Sakis, because they experience it through Radharani. Now, this is kind of a mystical thing that Lord Chaitanya has explained, that this is something that is rare. And many of our acharyas are Manjaris. And so it is a very, very deep, deep esoteric thing that is something that is the highest understanding of what we do in our Krishna consciousness movement, is to understand the Manjaris. And Rupa Goswami explains in Nectar Devotion, he explains it this way. He says that all of the devotees in Vrindavan have what is called a sthayi bhav. A sthayi bhav is one's steady ecstasy, his dominant personality type in relation to Krishna. And everyone has a sthayi bhav to Krishna, except the Manjaris. So Mother Yashoda, Nanda, all the cowherd boys, all the Sakis, all have a direct relationship with Krishna and indirect with Radharani. Whereas the Manjaris, who are also Sakis, have a sthayi bhav to Radharani and not to Krishna. It doesn't mean that they're not in love with Krishna. It's just that their mood is being directed by the Lord. Go and be Radharani's most intimate handmaid servant. Help her in every way possible. Be around her, cajole her, or nourish her, or be there when with her moods. Be her confidant. This is being directed by the internal energy. And when you assume that position, by following Krishna's internal or Yogamaya's internal direction, and you take on the role of Manjari to be there like a girlfriend to Radharani's Man or Mahabhav, you are given the gift of experiencing what she experiences. And since she experiences the highest ecstasy, the Manjaris are in a position to taste that highest ecstasy. Krishna allows the Manjaris to be, even though they're not having a direct relationship with him, they're having an indirect relationship, they still taste the direct relationship in the highest fashion. And that's why they do it. So again, this gets to be a little esoteric. This is not something easy to understand, but we still need to teach it. We still need to share it. We still need to understand it. And we still need to keep that understanding up here, meaning we may be down here. Our level of advancement is down here. I still think I'm the body. I still think I'm a guy. I still have attachments. I still work and trying to bring home money for my family. So I'm down here. I'm not in that position, but you may be, right? So I'm saying whatever position you're in, we want to keep this Manjari Bhav understanding high up here like this. And even though we're not there, by keeping it up here, Radha Krishna Yugala, by understanding the divinity of the couple, the Radha and Krishna together, and what our role is, we can get to that place gradually, as we lose our attachment to the external potency, and we become familiarized with how to surrender to Lord Krishna, how to give up, how to taste Bhav by surrendering to him. Then this understanding is revealed to us. And the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya are revealed to us. They make sense to us. His madness of ecstasy makes sense to us. So all this happens when we have achieved an internalized understanding or position within Krishna consciousness. So this is something that takes place. This is real. This is what we are after. It's the internal fruit, okay? And if someone has not got there yet, they should not be doubtful about this place that it exists, this internalization. They should not be doubtful. Anyone who's not experiencing internal Krishna consciousness should pray for it. Should pray, please, Lord, help me to get attached to you properly. This is our prayer. Hare, please, Lord, engage me in your devotional service. This is what Srila Prabhupada taught. We should not remain external devotees. That's a struggle. That is a struggle. So if we're struggling, let's look at and let's appreciate talks like I'm giving that glorify the internal potency, the internalization of our bhakti. If you hear these types of katha, you should want to reach these platforms. This is why we have them. This is why we hear from more advanced devotees who are internalized, because we should want to get what they have. That's how the process works. That's how it works. We want to achieve higher and higher and higher, and that's why we associate with more advanced devotees. So that's our process. And so I want to be very clear about it. I want to be very clear to help you to be very clear. And so take this, if you can, take these words, this kata that I'm giving about this Krishna consciousness, take it to heart. Allow it to come into your heart and help you to become an internalized devotee, that you can begin to really appreciate the bhav, the waves of ecstasy that occur between Radha and Krishna on a daily, moment-to-moment basis. Enter into those waves, and you will not want anything else. Whatever else happens in life is not important. This is what's important to you, the bhakta or the bhaktin. This is what's important for us. Come what may externally, that is going to come and go. But the internal potency, the internal bhavas that you experience are not going to go. That is what's the word? That is part of your eternal nature. That is part of your I'm trying to think of the word, not adoration, it's adornment. This is part of your adornment as a eternal resident in Vrindavan. This is adorning you. These bhavas are your entrance fee into Vrindavan. So what goes on around you, around us, for an internalized devotee is not that. He's somewhat immune. We do our practice of bhakti with great love and devotion. We go here, we go there, we do these different, we will engage ourselves. But the greatest pleasure we have is our internal relationship, the tasting of these moods, this service that we perform. And it's important to speak it to others and to bring them to this platform as well, because this is the desire of the Lord. So I'm going to end here. Take within yourself what I've said. I hope you will come and listen again to our videos. If you have a question, reach out. I'm more than happy to connect with you and to be of service. My goal is to do these videos, to have an online presence, to share with others. I also pray that I can travel and be of direct association with others and encourage others in this way. So none of us stay in these forms for very long. I also pray that this video series that I'm doing will be available to future generations as well, because we're not going to be that long in these forms. They come and they go. So we want to do our part in conveying the message of Srila Prabhupada and Lord Krishna and Lord Chaitanya. Thank you for listening. See you in the next video. Hare Krishna.